Looking to do a save with Arsenal on Football Manager 2020 and have absolutely no idea where to start? Well, this is the content for you. Hello everyone, it is Toby from TIJ Gaming and welcome to my Football Manager 2020 team guide for the Gooners, for Arsenal. And today we're going to do a quick 10-15 minute summary on Arsenal. How you should manage Arsenal in Football Manager 2020, a various amount of elements that make up the Football Manager game to make your life a little bit easier, and just talk about some of the new features and also some things you may want to do with the Arsenal team to better your chances of keeping in a job and succeeding with the Gunners, which at the time of recording Unai Emery is not doing the best job at. But anyway, let's not date this video too much very quickly. But one of the big features this year is the club vision, which we're going to talk about first. And Arsenal have got a pretty small club vision compared to some of the ones I've looked at previously, but at least it's concise and succinct. Succinct? Succinct, not succinct. Succinct. I mean, I wasn't very concise or succinct. Anyway, shut up. Right, we've got 3 elements of the club culture. Interestingly, none of these are required, which is good, because it just takes away that element of restriction, really, from your save with Arsenal. So we've got 3 things that the club want you to do. First, I'm going to combine the first 2, which is to play entertaining and attacking football. The entertaining side is a desire, so 3 out of 4 in terms of importance, but to play attacking football is a 2 out of 4, so that's preferred. And also an interesting one here is to ensure that a good percentage of players signed are under 18 years of age. Now, I've done a few team guides and found under 21, under 22. Under 18 is an interesting one because obviously there's no way they're going to come into the first team at the age of 18 or under. So it's interesting that the club are looking at that. But yeah, just make sure that you are signing those players on a regular basis. If you can't, then you can delegate that to your director of football by simply going to staff, responsibilities, and then if we go to transfers, initiating player signings, then all you got to do is delegate that to whoever you director of football, or whoever you'd like to delegate that to, or even Frederick Lundberg, who I think might actually be. Have we got a director of football here at Arsenal? I know I'm going off tangent. No, it's Raul. Never heard of him. Never heard of him. I'd rather Lundberg do it. He's actually the assistant manager. Didn't know about that, but you learn something new every day, don't you? But yeah, the 5-year plan. Let's have a look at what the 5-year plan is for Arsenal. So it's required that the team work within the wage budget. Again, that's a simple one. I think it's something that you've got to do. And the club have got £300,000 a week to work with in terms of wages, and that can go higher if we reduce the transfer budget, which is already pretty low. I think it's fair to say at 10 million. But seeing at the investments that Arsenal have made this summer, I'm not really shocked at that, and we'll go over that in just a minute. We've got one requirement in terms of the competitions that we are taking part in this year. Of course, Arsenal in the Europa League for the 2nd year in a row, or maybe even the 3rd year. I think it's the 2nd year in a row. But a requirement is the team finish in the top 4, which, funnily enough, for each of the team guides I've done for the top 6 teams so far, that has been a requirement for each one of those teams. So there's going to be 2 teams that miss out, and hopefully Arsenal won't be one of them. And it's going to be a tricky one, but it's a requirement that you finish in the top 4. Or basically, you're going to get the sack. It is required. If you can do better in some of these competitions, perhaps they might compensate for that. But if we look at the 2 other competitions that are important, we've got the FA Cup and the Europa League. We've got the FA Cup. The board want you to reach the semi-final of that and to reach the final of the Europa League. But bear in mind, of course, that these have nowhere near the amount of importance that the Premier League does. Of course, the domestic competition comes first. And the FL Cup isn't important, so they're not fussed about that. Or the Carabao Cup, as it is, but the Premier League is the big thing. In terms of the future, though, after that, after the first season, if you get past there, then they want you to qualify for the Champions League. That's a desire. And then try to challenge for the Premier League title in 2 years' time. And interestingly, by the end of 5 years, they want you to win the Premier League, work towards winning the Premier League in the 3rd and 4th season, and then win it in the 5th season. That's an interesting one, but I think it's something that can be achievable. But after that, let's have a look at the investments that Arsenal have made this year and who has gone out the back door. Now, the big signing has been Nicolas Pepe, coming for £72 million from Lille, the right winger. He has come in. It's a very expensive one, but he's definitely, as you can see, the best right winger at the club, a position that needs to be filled. And as you can see, a good player for most Premier League sides. Can improve slightly in the future, but a player at 3.5 stars that can improve to 4 is a pretty solid player. And obviously, at the age of 24, he has got room to improve as well. They've also brought in William Saliba from, is that Saint Etienne, for £27 million. A lot to invest on an 18-year-old, but obviously it seems that Unai Emery has got some confidence in him. Never heard of him actually before now, but there you go. He's gone back to Saint Etienne on loan, but an interesting signing that's been made there. We've also got Kieran Tierney, who's coming from Celtic as a left-back, of course, with Kolasinac and Maitland-Niles as backups there. Kolasinac, he's been a good player, but yeah, I think they need a little bit more backup at left-back because Maitland-Niles really, he's decent, but he's got room to improve. And plus, he's very versatile and he's yet to really pick a main position for himself in terms of where he wants to play in the future. David Luiz is also a signing that they've made, a controversial one because he's not been great at the start of his time at Arsenal, but a very solid centre-back with a lot of good attributes and a good signing made there as well. They've also brought in Gabriel Martinelli, who I hadn't heard of before he scored against Liverpool the other night, which I wasn't too chuffed about. And they've also brought in some other players, but this is a really crucial one, Dani Ceballos, and if you can buy him from Real Madrid on a full-time basis, I think it would be a stunner. Now, just bear in mind, I mean, his minimum release clause is 449 million, so it might not happen, but things might change over the season. But if he's as good in the game as he is in real life, then he's definitely one you want to bring into the club. He's been outstanding for Arsenal so far when I've watched Arsenal on the telly. He has been really good. Only 22 years of age as well, so room to improve. But at least you've got this player for the next 12 months. In terms of the outdoor, though, Alex Iwobi being the big player who's gone out. He's gone out for 35 million. So Nicolas Pepe being a replacement for Iwobi, really. And then, well, I'd like to say smaller departures, of course. Laurent Koscielny has gone. The captain, he's gone to Bordeaux. That's a controversial one. And, of course, Aaron Ramsey has gone to Juventus as well. So some pretty big departures. I suppose you could say some pretty big entries. Again, Lichtsteiner gone. Welbeck's gone. Mkhitaryan's gone on loan. For a permanent move in the future, and El Neni's also gone on loan to Besiktas. So we've got quite a depleted squad, really, if you look at the players that have left, but it is still quite a decent squad. So let's have a look at the tactic I've gone for with Arsenal. This is a different tactic, thank goodness, to the last few team guides I've recorded. We've gone with a 4-2-3-1, and the only reason I've done that, we'd usually go for a 4-1-4-1 in terms of that sort of Christmas tree shape. But I wanted to play two strikers, which unfortunately I couldn't find a way of doing. I wanted Aubameyang and Lacazette up there, but we just couldn't do that. So I understand Unai Emery's problem there. Also, and this is a problem for Unai Emery, we wanted to make sure Mesut Ozil was in the middle of the park. Why he doesn't play for Arsenal, I don't know. But don't make that bloody same mistake in your save, for goodness sake. Mesut Ozil is the best player in the squad for me. He's a really brilliant player. Might be a little bit past his best at the age of 30, but he's still a solid player, a brilliant goal scorer, and he's just not hit the mark the last few seasons. But I think with a bit of confidence, he could really shine this season. Look at that attack. Pepe, Ozil, Aubameyang and Lacazette. That is absolutely awesome. Pepe will be back from the African Cup of Nations before the start of the year. And that attacking line looks brilliant. But as is always the problem with Arsenal, it's the defence. We've got Guendouzi and Ceballos in the middle, a young centre midfield partnership. Of course, we've got the captain, Granit Xhaka, on the bench. And there's good rotational options there, actually, in the midfield. With Xhaka, Torreira, you've got Maitland-Niles who can play there as well. El Neni, of course, has gone out on loan. So there's some real good rotational options there that can be exploited in the midfield. But as I've said, it's the back that's really a problem. Now, left back shouldn't be a problem. Kieran Tierney's come in, of course, from Celtic. We've got him, Kolasinac and Maitland-Niles who can play at left back. However, centre-back's the issue, really. David Luiz has come in, but he's ageing. Mustafi, the less said about Mustafi, I think, the better. And Socrates is ageing as well. So we're going to have a bit of a struggle at centre-back. And to be honest, I think right-back isn't the best position. Okay, you've got Bellerin, he's the star. But I think in terms of depth, right-back is going to be a little bit of a struggle. So we're going to have a quick look now before we look at the dynamics of players I've suggested to potentially bring into the team. Now, this was just a quick look in two players I've suggested. So in terms of a right-back, now, we just want someone as a backup at right-back. We don't want anyone who's too flashy, but somebody that will probably challenge Hector Bellerin for a starting place. And I think a good player to do that would be Lucas Klostermann. Again, as you can see, his value is 7.5 million. Bayern Munich is sniffing after him. He is an important player for Leipzig. But I remember I did a Leipzig save in FM18, I think, and he was very good for me. At the age of 23, still can improve. If we look at his little graph, if we go with him against Bellerin, the stats are fairly comparable. Of course, Bellerin's speed is really the best of any right back in the league, or maybe the world, who knows. But yeah, I mean, Klostermann doesn't look too bad compared to Bellerin. He's got better aerial stats. I mean, there's some of these stats down here are better from Bellerin. But as I said, we wanted a backup player that can probably fill the boots of Bellerin, and I think Klostermann does that. And in terms of a centre-back figure, I think Jamal Lascelles wouldn't do a bad job. Again, we're looking for players that aren't going to cost the world because of the transfer budget that Arsenal have got now, and the fact they're only in the Europa League, so they're not going to attract the biggest players. But Jamal Lascelles, again, it won't cost a ton, I wouldn't think, for him to come from Newcastle. And seems a sensible signing. He is 25 years of age, so plenty of time to mature. Of course, he's a leader as well, which is really important for Arsenal after losing their captain. And I think it's just it's a good change after Koscielny's left the club to bring Jamal Lascelles in. I think it's a good fit there. But if you've got anybody that you would suggest at centre-back or right-back, please let me know in the comments and we can all help each other out if you are doing an Arsenal save. But finally, let's have a quick look at the dynamics, the players you want to keep happy. And now we've got two team leaders. We've got Mesut Ozil and Granit Xhaka. And for the first time in any of these team guides, we've got players, there's no team leader that's going to be leaving the club in the next few years, which is nice to see. David Luiz is very influential. We've got Luiz and Socrates that will probably be going in the next few years. But probably other players like Bellerin, like Tierney, maybe like Torreira, perhaps players like Calvalos as well if he stays at the club, after his loan period. That'll probably go up into that spot, so I've got no real problem with the dynamics for the future. There's a few little drops in social groups. We've got two different social groups, a smaller one and then others that don't fit in at the moment, which is a little bit of a concern, but we should be fine to make that up after a bit. Again, the social groups change completely after a while, so I can't really advise you too much on that, but I am happy at the moment that dynamic looks absolutely fine. But just before we finish, a quick look at the development centre. Of course, it's very important, that development centre, with the club vision looking that we have to sign players under the age of 18 for the future. And you can keep tracks on how they're doing here. We've got 5 players ones to watch. You've also got players that can be first team candidates, and basically says, who they could become better at. Who they can potentially become better than. And who's better to provide that report than their former centre-back Per Mertesacker, who's now the head of youth development at Arsenal, which I think is absolutely fantastic. But in that short space of time, that's really all I've got for you guys. If you guys have got any suggestions, anything to contribute to the discussion, please leave it down in the comments. And if you found that beneficial, it helped you out, make sure to leave a like down below. But for now, thank you very much for your company. If you click on one of the end screen elements, you will get team guides, my bait to save Liverpool, whatever you want to see, but there's plenty of FM content on the channel to keep you going in this FM20 baits period. But thank you very much for your company. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, and until the next time, I will see you guys later. Goodbye for now.